Robinhood is absolutely hitting on all cylinders right now, and the stock reacted really positively to news that the company was moving more into crypto and the blockchain. I'll explain exactly what that means in just a second, but you can see that the stock was up about 13% on Monday. Now, Robinhood and a lot of other companies have talked recently about how they want to invest more in the blockchain, in moving securities on chain. All kinds of other assets could potentially be on chain, and we got really a first look at what this might look like, not only for Robinhood, but for other companies as well. This is going to be launched in Europe. That's the first place it's going to be. You're going to be able to trade US stocks in Europe, and you're actually going to be able to do that 24/7. So it's going to be really interesting to see how the volume goes with this, what sort of information the US markets can gather from Europe, because there's probably going to be a lot more stocks available for trading in Europe than the stocks that are available in both areas. Some stocks are traded all around the world. So we sort of have a price discovery almost 24/7. So we will be able to pull information out of that and see sort of what does the futures market, if you will, look like with this trading. So I want to dig into exactly what we found out today. This was just announced this morning, so it's still pretty new for investors, but obviously a huge reaction from the market. My name's Travis Hoium. Thanks for watching Asymmetric Investing. Please subscribe here on YouTube for all my content. And thanks to this video sponsor, The Motley Fool. If you go to fool.com/ASYM, they'll give you their top 10 stocks to buy right now. First of all, here's the stock chart for the day. You can see shares closed up about 12.8%. So really solid day for Robinhood. The market cap is now up to about $82 billion. Just crazy. And that's really the reason I haven't bought shares in quite a while. This is one of the bigger investments that I have in the asymmetric portfolio, but haven't bought it in a while because the valuation, now we're trading for well over 20 times sales. So pretty hard to justify that just on a strictly valuation basis. So I'd love to get a little bit better deal. But that said, the company is hitting on all cylinders. The operations are just doing phenomenally well. And this was the announcement today. They're launching stock tokens and on a layer 2 blockchain that they're using. Now, the way this is going to work is that this blockchain is basically only going to be usable for Robinhood users. So you're not going to be able to take your tokens from your Robinhood wallet and then move it to another company, another wallet, like a Coinbase wallet or something like that. That's not quite the way that we're operating with this yet. So this is sort of a beta, if you will, of this kind of a launch. But let's go through exactly what we found out. They announced that this is going to be available across basically all of the EU and EEA countries. So 30 countries, accessible to 400 million people. So it was a huge launch when it was announced. And the tokenization and layer 2 blockchain really kind of lays out something that we've been hearing a lot about from companies like Robinhood for quite a while. So they're going to have US stock and ETF tokens in the EU, giving eligible customers exposure to US equities with Robinhood stock tokens. There's going to be no commissions. There's going to be no added spreads from Robinhood. And the access is going to be 24/5. So 24 hours a day, 5 days a week. And this is going to be available at 200 US stock and ETF tokens. Initially, this will be available on Arbitrum, which is a layer 2 on the Ethereum blockchain, but they are going to launch the Robinhood layer 2 blockchain based on Arbitrum in the future. And the goal there is to get that Robinhood blockchain to the point where it can be optimized for tokenizing real world assets. So think about startups or real estate or other private businesses. So basically you could tokenize ownership of almost anything and then be able to trade those assets 24/7 and even hold them in self-custody. The bridging is just talking about bridging to another blockchain. So let's say this is on the Arbitrum blockchain. You want to hold this on in your Solana wallet. That could potentially be possible in the future. They also launched perpetual futures in Europe. And then in the US and Europe, they launched staking. So this is where you're going to be able to take a crypto asset that you have and actually stake it and earn rewards from the blockchain for that staking. Let's dig into these stock tokens a little bit more because they did give a little bit more detail. You can see that there's going to be pretty popular stocks available: NVIDIA, Microsoft, Apple, Vanguard, S&P 500 ETF. And you can start with really small amounts. So you're going to be able to basically do fractional trades. And it is going to be 24/5, Monday through Friday. And this is where the details are important. So Robinhood is going to be helping you hold those tokens in US licensed institutions. So you are not going to be able to hold these tokens in self-custody wallets. That's probably coming in the future, but at least for now, these are going to be stock tokens that are only going to be available on this blockchain, and it'll be centralized custody of these tokens. They give a few more of these details here. This is basically a derivatives contract. So it's a derivative tracked on the blockchain, and that's going to follow the US market. And like I said, they cannot be sent to other wallets or platforms at this time. Thanks to our friends at The Motley Fool for sponsoring this video. Visit fool.com/ASYM for the top 10 stocks to buy right now. But I think there are a few reasons this is important for Robinhood. One is it moves to more of these assets going to the blockchain. So I think that's going to open up a whole new number of asset classes for Robinhood investors. Right now, this is just going to be stocks and ETFs, but in the future, you could see a lot of bonds trading on the blockchain. You could potentially bring more liquidity than you have, especially in kind of the opaque private markets for bonds that aren't highly traded. Like I said, you could see real estate, you could see startups being funded on the blockchain, a lot of optionality for where this is going to go in the future. So it expands the product pool for Robinhood. It also increases their exposure to Europe. So that's going to open up new markets for them. So yes, I think that Robinhood is going to be able to grow just in the areas that it operates today by offering more products and actually bringing more assets into the Robinhood platform for the users that they already have. I mean, I have done that. I've added assets to my Robinhood accounts. I've also started using their gold credit card. So that's deepening that relationship with individual customers, but then you need to bring more customers into the platform. That's that geographic expansion that's going to be a help to Robinhood. And I also think this just shows that Robinhood is innovating in a way that not a lot of companies are right now. There are other companies that have talked about doing this. Coinbase has talked about doing this. We know that SoFi has talked about doing this, but they're now kind of behind the game as far as moving some of these assets onto the blockchain. Now, what comes next? I wouldn't be surprised to see, like I said, 24/7 trading and this moving to more markets. Not sure if this is going to come to the US yet. There's still not a whole lot of clarity about if this kind of trading would be legal. Actually, Europe is a little bit ahead in that respect. Could see this move to Asia. So that could be a way for Robinhood to get into the Asian markets. But this should keep the growth tailwinds going behind Robinhood. And at the end of the day, that's why the stock is doing as well as it is in 2025. This is now a really, really phenomenal growth company, and it's being priced that way. So that's why shares are really expensive. But that's why I'm not selling either, because Robinhood is executing just absolutely flawlessly right now. And it's doing so at a profitable level. This is what's most impressive, is even in financial institutions, typically growing as quickly as Robinhood is pretty expensive. You have a lot of SG&A operating expenses that go into growing that quickly. But they have done all of this expansion and they've leveraged their digital nature. They don't have to build out branches and hire thousands of people all around the world. They can just have a digital launch just like this one and attract potentially millions of new customers and billions of dollars of assets to the platform. So I think Robinhood just hitting on all cylinders, love everything that they're doing right now. And I think this could be the kind of innovation that pushes into more and more areas in the future. So keep an eye on this. This is, I think, big news for Robinhood long term. But let me know what you think about Robinhood stock today. Leave your comments in the comment section below. Don't forget to subscribe to Asymmetric Investing. Thanks for watching, everybody. See you here next time.